Hi, Uniquely Cindy here. Thanks for joining me tonight. I wanted to take a few minutes and talk to us about mourning wreaths or funeral wreaths. Funeral wreaths and mourning wreaths are deeply customary in the Deep South. Last week when I did my Michael's Reveal box, I had a long garland of black leaves, and I said, well, I wonder what I'm going to do with these. And then it hit me, and I made the statement in my video about mourning wreaths, and I had some questions about it. The custom of mourning wreaths goes all the way back to ancient Greece, when they would take laurel wreaths and placed it on the heads of the deceased as a way of honoring and memorializing them. Then we came into ancient Rome. Ancient Rome did the same thing, but it also symbolized their political standing. Christianity, when Christianity came on the scene, Christianity took the wreaths and they used evergreen wreaths to show eternal life because death was not the end for them. And then we came on down to the 16th through the 18th century of the Victorian and medieval era. And during that time period, different flowers, different colors represented different things. Then it became even more standardized and more specific in the late Victorian era, where they would even decorate the wreaths with the hair of the deceased. Now those wreaths were kept. They were decorated with dried flowers, hair of the deceased, and those wreaths were kept as memorials to the person that had passed away. Come on down to modern times. When I was a kid growing up here in the Deep South, we would see wreaths on people's doors. Now, we have Easter wreaths, we have Christmas wreaths. Different customs, different colors, but they're all pretty much round. It shows eternity. And the black wreaths that we would see on doors when I was a teenager and a kid let us know that somebody in that family had passed away. And that would also alert the community, because sometimes word of mouth didn't travel as fast as it does today with all of our technology. And it alerted the community that that household was grieving and it might not be up for visitors, or you can bring a casserole, or you can bring a cake, or just drop by and offer your condolences, wash a dish, help the family out, cut their grass. Communities bound together. And that wreath that hung on that door let people know that that family was grieving and needed some help. Now, there were different flowers and different things that was practiced. For example, I found out today that magnolia flowers and different colored ribbons could represent different branches of the military as part of mourning wreaths. White flowers represented usually children and babies that had passed away. The standard wreath when I was growing up was basically a black wreath, but I just don't see them anymore. When I mentioned this to somebody today, they asked me what was I doing with all the flowers and everything. I said, I'm going to make a mourning wreath. And they even made the statement, we don't see those anymore. And I said, I know. So I took it upon myself to make a standard mourning wreath that you would see on most people's doors. As I was a teenager coming up, you still see them occasionally. I have seen them in the past 10 years more on businesses than I have actually seen in people's homes or on people's homes. But I think it's a custom that maybe we need to bring back because it is beautiful. It does honor that family and it does honor the deceased. So I made what I call a budget wreath, because I also know that one of the drawbacks, especially after COVID when everything got so expensive and flowers and all was almost impossible to find and the price just shot through the roof, that people cut back on their flowers and all because of the prices. And I know mourning wreaths and just funeral flowers within themselves can cost hundreds of dollars. So I did a budget wreath, and I'm going to get out of the camera here and let you see it. But this is what in the Deep South typically we would hang on our door. Here's our wreath. See if I can bring this down just a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay. Now I did this on a standard wire wreath, and it was a little bit of a bugaboo to do because I'm used to working with styrofoam wreaths, but this was all I could find today. So this is on a standard wire wreath. I wrapped a black satin ribbon all the way around it. Here I have the flowers are attached to a styrofoam floral piece that goes onto the wreath, and I attached it with wire and of course pipe cleaners to hold it in place, because unfortunately you can't hot glue styrofoam, so we put that in with this pipe cleaners. These are the black feathers, and then I have black tooling. I have black and deep purple roses in here. I have black leaves. Now this time of the year, it is easier to find the black flowers. We're entering into this, what I call the spooky season, September, October, and so black is easy to find. After October's over with, you'll pretty much have to go to a place that deals with flowers or order them off the internet in order to make one. This tooling I cut up and put on the bottom. Everything is attached with floral pins. It took me, because this right here was harder to wrap than a styrofoam wreath, it took me about an hour and a half to do this wreath. I have it tied up here to my post flower, I don't know what you call this thing, holds your mirrors and everything. I've got it tied on here so that I could show y'all. But I do think it is a very beautiful wreath. I know you might not get to see the colors in it that well. It is a dark wreath because it does represent that there has been a death in that family. But it is very pretty. This wreath at a florist would run you, I don't know, I haven't priced a wreath in so long, but I know the last wreath that I bought like this, which was pre-COVID, ran us, I think, about $150, okay? I could probably, well, I'm not even gonna talk about what I could sell it for. If you're ever in need of a wreath, you can let me know. But this wreath right here is very beautiful, and it is a typical funeral wreath that goes on the door. Now, if you wanna have it delivered to a funeral home for the deceased, it is something that you can do there also, but I like the fact that it sends a message to the neighborhood. It sends a message to other loved ones in the family. And usually it goes on the home that the person passed away from, and or I have also seen it on the home of where everybody gathers after the funeral. So there's a lot of wonderful traditions that go along with the Deep South customs of funerals. There's a lot of wonderful traditions that I'm going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks. Another tradition that we'll speak of probably the next time we get together will be the covering of the mirrors. And if you know why they cover the mirrors, I do know, but if you know why they cover the mirrors, comment below and let me know why you think the reason of covering the mirrors. And this goes back to Victorian era and beyond also. And it's pretty much standard in many countries around the world. Wreaths are standard in many countries around the world. We all know funeral flowers are. But I guess this is the one thing that I miss seeing, the honor of the family by placing the wreaths on the household door, also letting the community know. So I hope you enjoyed this and this little bit of history. I hope you enjoyed the wreath. I made it for our video so that you could see what I was talking about. And if you remember funeral wreaths that went on the doors, drop me a line and let me know. Tell me about one maybe that you remember specifically that made an impression with you. And if you got any questions or any other customs that you would like for me to discuss, drop me a comment below. Hit that subscribe button, forward it to a friend. Hit the notification bell and you'll know every time I upload a video. As you know, it's Uniquely Cindy. I call it that because we discuss all kinds of things. But Uniquely Cindy here, thank you for your time, thank you for your interest, and you have a unique afternoon.